There we go, finally. So, trade. All right, so trade is going to be huge for the Ottoman Empire, and is probably why they're going to become as rich and powerful as they do, because remember, they controlled Constantinople, making it Istanbul. That was one of the primo trade locations of, the old world, because it's right smack dab between Europe, Asia, and Africa. And so some of the big things that they're going to have, like I said, they controlled the silk and spice trade. So anything from China or India, such as indigo, spices, porcelain, silk, that's how Europe and Africa were to get it, through the Ottoman Empire, which meant that they're going to go and jack up the prices incredibly. What's really cool too, and that a lot of people don't realize, is the Ottoman Empire is kind of responsible for the popularity of coffee. Yeah, like Starbucks owes its thanks to the Ottoman Empire, because they started this idea of going and having like these houses where people just go drink coffee and talk all day. And yeah, that's the Ottoman. Now, unfortunately, they totally weren't fair. And back then, girls were not allowed at the coffee houses. It was considered totally like a guy thing to do, which is kind of lame. Especially because I know way more girls that like coffee and way more boys that don't like coffee. And I only started drinking coffee once I had a kid, because I could not survive without any help. Now, so as I talked about in our going over the homework, because the Ottomans were the only source for Asian goods to Europeans, and because the Ottomans made it cost so much, Europeans were driven to exploration for this. We're going to have Europeans going and circumnavigating Africa to get around the Ottoman Empire. We're going to have Europeans going and looking for things like the quote-unquote Northwest Passage and all that thing to circumvent the Ottoman Empire, to go say, what if we go west? We can get to Asia. And then, of course, with the Americas, that's going to wind up going and cutting into the Ottomans as well, because Europeans are going to get lots and lots of products from them. So here we see, with the trade routes, we see, it all goes through the Ottomans. And then we see that once they start going around, they're like, yes, let's go around Africa. That totally makes sense. Let's go, eventually they're also going to start going this way. But many trade routes still will go through Constantinople, but they're going to try to avoid it to pay less taxes. So, Ottomans, why did they end? The reason why we're talking about them today, first off, we have poor rulers. Just like when we talked about Rome, bad rulers, the idea of having the person who's the best at murdering people become your ruler does not give you the best rulers. Remember, Suleiman, the lawgiver, was magnificent. He was awesome. He was great. But because he chose not his firstborn son and started the whole brothers murdering each other to get power thing, they wind up going and getting the most ruthless, the cruelest rulers. We can just see Ottoman Empire at its height, huge amount of territory, having tons of Eastern Europe, having, Asia Minor, going in, having Mesopotamia, parts of present-day Persia, going into North Africa. And by 1914, the beginning of World War I, look how much they've shrunk. By then, they're actually called the sick man of Europe. And part of it's because they kept on losing military battles. So the Ottoman Empire was old. We talked about how it started, in the 1200s and winds up becoming this huge, powerful empire. But by the 1900s, the Ottoman Empire was a pale reflection of what it once was. The riches were gone. Their military dominance was gone. And think about it. They start losing battles 1571. They lose battles, so then they have less wealth, less trade. And then they're not able to buy as many good weapons, because part of the reason why they're dominant is they had the best of military technology. They don't have the best after 1571. Then other nations have better technology. And one of the things that we've constantly seen through history, the nation or empire or country with the best military technology are going to be the ones that dominate. So not only do they have the military defeats, they have the economic problems like we just discussed. Now the Americas are providing tons of goods to Europe. Now they're able to go get things from India, things from China without going through the Ottoman Empire. And because of all of this, more people in the Ottoman Empire didn't have jobs. More people in the Ottoman Empire did not have money. And like I said, no money meant your army's going to be bad. And then you're going to wind up going and losing territory. I mean, when the Germans invited the Ottomans to be part of the Axis powers in World War I, part of the reason was like, well, hopefully the Allies will wind up spending time fighting them just to get them off our back. It wasn't that they thought they'd be a great ally. It was, well, we needed someone to just, soak up some of the punishment. And so 1923, 1924, we have the fall of the Ottoman Empire. The last Sultan is going to be Mehmed the Sixth, which is going to be 1922. We saw him actually in that quick video clip we have right there. I think it's just wild that we've been talking about these guys, in the late 1200s. We have them starting with sultans, and then we have the last one over 600 years later. So it's pretty cool stuff. And that is our notes for the day. Bum, ba, da, ba.